What kind of space would you say social media is for introverts? And if they choose to show up in apps like Instagram or others, how can they be true to who they are and in such a noisy and chaotic and hyper connected digital world?
Yes, well, this is something I've definitely wrestled with, being someone who has a public role that requires me being part of social media, it feels like. And what we now know about social media and continue to learn, even through the recent documentary, The Social Dilemma, is
Yeah.
that social media is dopamine driven. So dopamine is the neurotransmitter we talked about earlier that makes extroverts feel their best, but overwhelms introverts. It's
Mm.
too much for our systems. And it can be too much for extroverts because dopamine is also the chemical basis for addiction. So when people feel like they're addicted to social media, there's a biological element to that going on. So I think for all of us being intentional, but especially for introverts, I think one of the biggest things for all introverts is managing our energy because we don't have endless energy to give to external things. And every time we get a social media notification, that's a withdrawal from our energy account. And it may not feel like much if every notification we get is $1 of energy. It feels in the moment like that's not very much. But if you get 100 a day, that's $100 a day of energy that we're giving to something that probably for us is not going to be socially satisfying because we crave those deeper connections, those more focused conversations, to have maybe a smaller network, but where we really feel like these are my people. And so I say, especially for introverts, just be really intentional. Notice the impact on your energy and then adjust accordingly. For me, that looks like having no notifications on ever and taking a cyber Sabbath once a week where I completely unplug. And actually, in this season, I'm considering doing more than that, pulling back even more, which I saw on Instagram. You've stepped out of that space for a purpose in this season. And
Mhm.
so I think just realizing that there is an impact, there is a cost, and it's just up to us individually to evaluate how much we want to spend there
Mhm.
emotionally, energy wise, time wise, and then make adjustments that we need to. So that would be my biggest thing. Just evaluate the impact and then be intentional about setting the boundaries needed for it to be satisfying instead of feeling like it's just soul draining.
Yeah, that is really great advice and so fascinating too what you said about dopamine and how it's overload for introverts and also leads to addiction. I mean, the whole thing is so fascinating and I totally wrestle it with it. I don't know one woman or girl who has an emotionally healthy relationship with social media. I have yet to meet someone who does. There's maybe those who have implemented boundaries where they stick to and it helps them maybe get the best out of it, but kind of protects them from the negative downsides. And I've tried to do that and currently off social media as I work on a project just for deeper work. I want to produce deep
Mm-hmm.
work, and I know that distraction steals away from that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's also, I yeah, I think asking ourselves, am I better with this or is my life really better without it? Is it all or nothing? Or maybe it is setting some boundaries in place that you adhere to, tucking your phone in to bed before you're in bed, or taking a day off from it, as you said, and unfollowing, muting, unsubscribing, all those things. So but I do agree with you that for introverts, it can be a very chaotic, noisy, and really like draining place. And so we just need to be a little more sensitive maybe to that.